Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. I believe every one of you is ready for the upcoming weekend. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue my journey to discuss master data services from the data governance and the data quality perspective. So now, before we proceed in this series, what I'll do, I'll record a couple of additional videos on SQL because obviously we are going to now use some heavy SQL queries while we progress. So you might need a quick refresher. If you don't understand SQL, you need a quick series to understand how SQL work or how T-SQL work, because T-SQL is more like transaction SQL language, which is provided by Microsoft as part of the SQL server stack. But in this video, what I'm going to do, just from the continuation perspective, in the last video, we have installed master data services, and I have showed you that we have created our first model. And if I now come in here, I can explore my model, but because my model doesn't contain anything, because model is more like, and let me, so your model is more like a container, an empty container. And in that container, you can put your entities. It really depends. And these entities contain data, and that data can be even hierarchical. Like if this data can have hierarchy that can maintain the values in a hierarchical fashion. We'll see that once we reach to that point, but at the start we'll keep things simple. So, and these entities, they can be the list of values which are controlled by the business. So you can see as soon as we start creating the list of value in the master data services and hand it over to the business start taking the ownership of the data. And that's one of the main principle of the data governance, where we can assure that people are accountable for the data item they are controlling. Like it's not like nobody's taking any responsibility about the quality, or or the credibility of the data. So the very first step in the master data services, once we build the entities and once we build the model, that model is going to hand over to one of the department or number of people who are responsible to manage these entities for the organization. And that's how, if anything happen or any wrong value comes in, we can make them accountable for the things that are their responsibility to fix. So a very good, I would say, practice. If we can manage to introduce in our enterprises, you're gonna see long time benefits, that how it will improve the process down the track. But let me go back and let me add one entity into my master data service, and then we'll start from there. But before that, just to get some data, what I'm going to do, I'm going to restore a database on my database server. So like right now you can see I have a database, but I don't have any table or any data inside. So what I'll do, I have a couple of sample databases, so I'm just going to restore those databases on my machine. So we are going to restore. All right, so in the work, I have my DB backups. So you can see I have actually already put some of the databases that I've used in the past. So that's quite famous, which Microsoft has provided. So let's start from here. And we are good. We are going to restore. There's no existing connection. And like I mentioned, always try to look at the script. So the commands that has been created behind the scene, even if you are using the interface, because that will help you to understand the language of the database engine, which obviously is a good practice. I'm just going to increase the font size. So we are good. We are restoring this database on our server because it's a dev server, so we don't need to look at the configuration options much, which is good. So just hit F5, or you can click on execute and it will start restoring the database backup. So it's a small database. It's not like quite big, so you can see it has been restored very quickly. And let me see. Yeah, perfect. So it was in 2019 version, so that's good. All I'm looking at whether it's the old version that it has restored and upgraded, or it's just like the straight 2019. So it looks like it's a 2019 backup, which is good. So the upgrade process didn't happen, which normally happen if you have 2014 all the way till 2017, and if you try to restore, it has been restored, and then database engine upgrade the database to make sure it is compatible with the version that is running on the server. By saying it, let me just now go back and check the validity. So guess what we are going to run? I think in this series we are going to run our first data oriented query, because last time we ran the query but we didn't see any data. But what this time we are going to do, we are going to, and let me just put the row count so I can see which one is the biggest table. By the way, AdventureWorks is more like a database that Microsoft has provided. It has a couple of schemas in it, and you can see these schemas by sorting out based on the schema. We have human resource, we have person. Obviously person is related to the personal information, and we have production, which is related to the production part of the organization. It can include product categories and all these things. And then we have sales. And so these four schema, and I think that cover most of the work which we are going to do. We only need these four schemas, but beside that, we have a couple of additional databases, especially for the machine learning work, which we're going to actually do very soon, just to show everyone that why machine learning is all about data. And even now, all the machine learning experts, they are accepting it that okay, machine learning itself is now completely relying on the data practices implemented into the enterprises. But a separate topic, let me come back and let me just pick one data set that we can migrate to MDS, so I can show it to you how it works in the MDS and how we can control the values centrally, and it can play the role, or it can play the part in the analytics. So let's see. Contact type. So normally we do some sort of analysis. I'm just looking at some good example that we can, and I think I have one. Just bear with me. I can find it out. Yes. So you can see we have product, and if I look at the product view, I do believe we have the product and description. We have, let's see what we have in here. So we have product model, and description. Okay, what I'm going to do, bear with me. I'm just going to look if I can link the product with subcategory and the main category to build one of the list by myself, because that would be better. So we have one product. So we have product category, product subcategory, which is good. And now let me quickly go to, so that's product subcategory. Now what I'm looking, there we go. We have the product category. Yeah, we can see the product category, and I do believe we have, let me see if I can find out. the product information as well. So there's subcategory, and last but not the least, yeah. So in this one, if I looked at product ID, product number, if I move to the product, there we go. We have the product subcategory. So let me first show you how the relationship looks like, and then we'll build the query. Okay. What I can see. It's a small error which is complaining of something. How about if I just add essay? Yeah, I can use essay. So that has been fixed now. It's a small error like the owner was not defined. So SQL Server was complaining that it is unable to open the database diagram for us, but normally we put the user who really owns this database, because every database is going to be owned by some user or someone. It's not like we have the orphan databases which are sitting on our server, although it's a very common case in most of the enterprises that the databases have been built for maybe some one particular purpose in the past, and then it either didn't go into production or it was out of sync to the business model. So now the database is sitting forever. Nobody has no idea what the database is going, and they're just keeping the database because everyone is so scared to touch it, right? So this sort of the database, we either move it to the archival area, or we just take a backup and remove them. That's a normal practice. But for SQL Server, every database need a owner, so it can determine, okay, who is going to own this database, and that's where it was complaining to not opening the database diagram option. But now all good. Let me click new diagram. So what it's going to show us, it will actually show us the model. We can even create our own model, and we can see whether that model is going to reflect the requirement that we are addressing as part of the solution. So it's a very useful tool, tell you the truth, that we can design and we can reflect it, because based on that we can also design our class diagrams and many other things, because it's a real thing. So it will sometimes give us a very good overview that, okay, what the structure or the modeling looks like. I'm going to select 3 tables, subcategory, and I'm going to select product. Where is my product category? Okay, because here here the names are sorted by alphabetically, not by schema. So you can see they are all everywhere. Let me add them. I think we are good. Let me close it off. You can see it automatically detect the relationship. So that's the beauty of the database diagram feature, that it automatically can I zoom a little bit less here, just to adjust it within the screen. So you can see the model is there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to write a query that can provide us the product information with category and subcategory. All right, so now at least I can see the model. Now look, that's the model which is giving me the information about my product with the category and the subcategory. And now obviously the subcategory and the category just have the name information, but I think at this stage we are good with that, because we are just generating a sample for our master data list. And by the way, we can keep these 3 lists separate if we want to. We don't need to merge with them. Actually, what I'm going to do, because we have a very small categories. Let me see. No, we have more categories. Yeah. So should we keep the categories without? Okay. Yeah, let's build a curve view, and then we'll go from there. Initially, I'm just going to give it a name, so we are all good. What I'm going to do, so don't worry if you don't understand this SQL at this stage, that should be absolutely all right. Just going to inner join with the actually. I'm going to explain it shortly. PC. Let me quickly write down product category is equal to PS store. Yes, so I can test it. And on products subcategory is equal to so let me explain this query so far. So once we put start, that means we're going to select all the column regardless of how many tables we have. Every table is going to contribute in this query because we are selecting all the columns, right? In this video, I'm going to be very precise with this SQL query because this is not the query language video, but in the separate video, I'm going to actually record. I'm going to explain how this query has been built and how you can build your own queries, which is, I think, one of the major required skill of the industry at the moment. They need data analysts who can build the queries, who can refine the data, who can take out the the outlier from the data and just provide the really useful data back to the business for further analysis, right? So that obviously, in order to do it, I know that Python and the Spark, PySpark, they are prevailing in the market, but obviously if you go back to the traditional or conservative method, SQL is still shining. They're still not closer to SQL, and that's why if you look at the Databricks, they provide the SQL interface for their cluster oriented based databases. So underneath it's all about Spark, but upon the Spark they have put the interface of SQL. And similar with Azure is marvelous. Like, they have provided the Synapse. I'm not marketing for Microsoft, but amazingly that Microsoft have encapsulated all the complexity under the built-in Synapse pool, and you can literally go and create the tables and views and store procedures, and you can put the schemas and everything, like, as a normal database. And underneath, the whole thing has been translated into this Spark, and then it has been executed on the massive parallel processing architecture, which is super cool. We're gonna see them in their corresponding video, but let's come back to this script. What we are going to do, we are selecting all the columns regardless of whether whichever table they belongs to, and then now we are coming from the top to bottom hierarchy. So on the top we have our product category, and then we have the product subcategory, and we have the product itself. So if I quickly go and I draw, let me just take out this fancy diagram out. So on the top, and then we have subcategory, and then we, on the leaf level, we have quickly connected. By the way, it's not a binary tree. So just to avoid that confusion, I'm just going to create another child of this node. So imagine that is product. So that is product category, which is on the top, and then we have product category, right? So, and we have products. So that's the information architecture we have. We have one table which is containing all the product category, and obviously each product category has an ID that uniquely identifying that product category. And then we have product subcategory table where each subcategory has its own unique ID, but it also has its own product category, because every product category is belonging to some, every product subcategory is belonging to product category. Now, beside that, if we go a bit deeper on the leaf level, we have products, and every product is linked to one of the product subcategory. Sometimes it happens that one product can attach to multiple product subcategory, but we are not going towards that direction. We are keeping things clean. We assume that one product sits under one product subcategory, and one product subcategory sit under one product category. Now, if we did it in the reverse direction, one product category has multiple product subcategories, like you can see in here on the second level, and one product subcategory has multiple products sitting underneath. So keep this thing in mind. It will really help you once you are designing the query, that you need to understand this hierarchy or information architecture, because that will help you to build the query efficiently. Now we are trying to actually build the query that can report that information back to us. Now, obviously during the discussion, we identify there is going to be a link between product subcategory and the product category. So we link these two, and I'm not going to discuss the join that in this video. We just assume that there is a link, common link between these two tables, which is the product category ID that's going to actually glue these two tables together. Based on that ID, we are going to get against each product category all the respective product subcategory. Now, on a similar note, with our product table, we have some sort of product subcategory ID, which we are going to use to glue product with our product subcategory, and we're going to get all the products which are sitting under one product subcategory. So now that link has been established, that is addressing this hierarchy. Now let me run that. Awesome. So we are getting the value. I'm just going to arrange it. So now, considering we have all the columns, we are going to have name, and now you can see the column is ambiguous because this column has presence in multiple table. So SQL Server is giving us an error that, okay, which table I need to read it out. You didn't mention whether it's going to write through product category table, or it's going to be write through product subcategory table. So what we are going to do, let's read it from product category, and as soon as I put it in here, same with the name, because name is common in multiple table as well. So we are going, let's read it from, and now I'm going to give it a proper name, product category name. Now imagine that is happening in the application, that we are defining all that list. Similar way, we are going to, let me copy paste product. However, I'm going to call the product subcategory ID, because, and again, PC name. So it's going to be product subcategory name. And then I'm going to product ID. I'm going to get product name. I'm just going to By the way, you can give it a proper, like you can give it a space between the name and it all you need to actually put them under the and it should be all right, right? So SQL is going to complain if you just take out the square bracket. If you want to put a space, then you have to put them within the square brackets, and then SQL will understand it's a one value that it's going to consider as a single value. So it's the name of the column, so that's why we are putting them in the square brackets. So let me see what else I can get from the list. We have names, number, make, safety stock, list price, standard. Let me grab list price because they are all useful. Size. I think we are good in here. Now, let me show it to you how it looks like. You can see we have bunch of null, so we can make them clean. Like, and now imagine we are not only doing some sort of governance, like we are building the master data list, which are going to standardize the product information within our organization, but as well as we have identified some data is coming as incomplete. So we are going to fix that data, that okay, if that data is coming as empty, what are we gonna do? So size, we know that if the data is not available and is it null, so we can put a default value, and keep in mind that default value should reflect the real meaning. You know, sometimes we just put 0, that means it might be showing a 0 size, right, which might be applicable. So you need to be very careful while you are applying the default value. Considering it's a voucher and it can keep the text, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a value unknown. Similar in here, let me see. Now this is decimal, so we know that we cannot give the weight unknown, because weight is not going to accept the textual value because it's a decimal. So what we can do, we are going to give it an weight as 0.00, because we know. And now, as soon as I give them the default values, you're gonna see the column names has been changed. So what I will do, I'll give them proper name, product, size, and I'm going to call it product. Excellent. So we are good. We are going to see the product size and product name are coming in here. So our data list is ready. It has 295 product by the product category and subcategory. We can arrange it, no problem. We can sort it out by, let's say, product category name. So that's not the place where I'm going to put it yet. So we are going to name, and then we have, so we are arranging it in a way that we first arrange the by product category, and then under that product category, whatever subcategory gonna exist, they arrange from in the ascending order, and then in the product subcategory, whatever products we have in those product, we're gonna arrange them in the ascending order as well. So now you can see accessories, and in accessories we have bike racks, and in the bike racks we have, you can see hitch rack, and then we have all purpose. Let me see why there must be a space in between, so that's where there must be some sort of, that's why it's not picking them. In the up to here is fine because it is picking right, but the product name, p name, let me see why p name is not. There must be some issue with the value because I can see all so all other ones are fine, like you can see in here, cleaner vendor helmets and sports 100 black. So you can see even up to A, it's the same value. So as soon as that the letter has been changed, so it's from the ascending order. So I think we are good in here. Now our value has been sorry, our data has been prepared and ready to load. So what we are going to do, we are going to save results. So if you want to save your result into CSV, all you need to right click on the result pane in SQL Management Studio, and then what you can do, let me just go to the data set. I am just going to store the data set in here. I'm just going to MDS product. Right, so that's my CSV file that's going to reflect. Now keep in mind, we have prepared the query in the SQL level, but we didn't prepare the corresponding entity in our model. So our next step, we are going to create the similar model in the MDS, and we'll then load the data in that model. So super cool so far. We are going to now on the second step, which I'm going to show you a moment. Okay, I have to come back and forth, and that's fine. I just want to try to shortcut just to reduce the time, but I'll just come back in this interface again. Okay, now I'm just going to, if you remember last time what we have done, we have created a model through the system administration. And by the way, system administration is only available for the people who have the system administration right on our model. If you remember, the user which I'm using at the moment, it has the admin right on all the models. That's why I'm able to actually access the system administration. If someone has access to a model, and I'm going to show you what kind of access that could be. It's a simple read access that he is unable to generate any administrative information, or he cannot perform any administrative tasks. But because we have the permission, so we are going to hit system. I think that information option is system administration. We're going to click on system administration. We're going to click on our model, select our model. And now, if you remember last time I mentioned that the entity is ready. It's activated. So what this button shows to us that we can create entities into our model. So let me click on entities, and now by the way, it has created a default entity for me. I don't need it. I'm just going to delete it. Because by default, if you, I think I didn't uncheck the box, which shows that the default entity is going to be created with the similar name as of the model. So if you don't need it, just uncheck it. I forgot to uncheck, that's why it has created, but we have deleted it, so that's good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to now create a entity based on my product information. So I'm going to call it products. You can give it any name. So you can see we are giving the responsibility to our product department. So that's how we are giving the ownership. Now, the product department is going to be responsible for that information. They're going to manage that information, and the rest of the organization is going to be consume that information, right? So it's more like producer and consumer relationship that we are establishing in here. That one set of users, they are going to produce that information, the other set of users are going to consume that information. And obviously, if the data is not correct, the producers are going to take the responsibility because we have set their ownership on this entity. Now, we are not going to give a staging table because we are not accessing its transaction log type. Now you can see we can go up to attribute level, like with each column it can generate the log, but we stick to the member, which is default. Yeah, we can create code automatically. We'll start with 1. It's more like a unique identifier that you can assign, but normally we define our own unique values, especially so like you have seen in this query, our product categories and subcategories, they have the IDs which are coming from the source application. So they are the one which play more role instead of the one MDS is generating. So that's why I just put 1 because we are not going to use in most of the cases. Now we don't need the approval required, and we don't because it's a test environment, so we are not concerned about the data compression. If you feel that the data size is going to be a lot, so you can put the data compression, but I think at this stage we could hit save. It's gonna take a little time, and now see our entity has been created. So now keep in mind, let me just open another one. Let's paint. So let me put this time a bigger one. So because I'm going to our so that's the model that we have created, and that model is going to contain different entities. So we are first we are creating initially the product information entity, right? So you can see, let me just drag it a little bit. So we are reaching up to this point. Now this product information, the entity has created, but it didn't have any column yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually now create the columns or attribute for this entity, so we can store the data within those attributes. Let me come back, and by the way, I'll upload these pictures. Let me just save these pictures. I'm just going to do I have images? Anyway, I'm just I'm going to and the other one is okay. Now product information has been the entity has been created. We are going to define the attribute. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click attribute. I'm going to click add to just add an attribute. So the very first one, so now here we are now defining exactly the same model which is going to host the data which we have generated as part of this script. So you can see we are going to create product category ID, product category name. Actually, you know what I can do, because I have Excel installed, what I'm gonna do, let me just go to the data set, and I'm going to, that's mine, and I'm going to edit it out, and you can see I have these column available in here. So I can use, yeah. So I've just copied it from my CSV file, which I have actually exported from Management Studio. Product category, display width, we can increase the width. So it's now we are going to define the data type, which kind of information. So because it's a numeric, so we are going to use the display width is more like the space that is going to be shown on the website of the MDS, which can consume the value. We don't need, because the category, we are not going to put any decimal value in it, and then it mask is like if we have negative value is coming, we're going to show the negative. That's the most important thing, guys, the enable change tracking. So what it does, it actually track all the changes that happens to the data. So you can see the security privacy comes into the picture, that okay, if someone is changing the data, we have full log of the changes that we can later on use to produce the evidence that who actually changed the value. So see how the data governance is now coming into the action. So that's why in the start, when I was actually installing the master data services, I mentioned that the master data services is really an amazing tool to apply the data governance. If we really implement data MDS into our organization, that will enforce the most of the data governance principle into our enterprise. And if you remember my article on LinkedIn, I'm going to put the link into the description. You can see the data security is there, the data quality is there. That is part of the data governance that we normally emphasize to implement within our organization. Because if you don't know who is changing the data, who is controlling the data, it would be much difficult for us to identify the changes, the changes and responsibilities at the later stage, especially after 1 or 2 years when people leave the organization. Nobody gonna take the responsibility. Oh, we don't know who has changed this information that caused, for example, some damage to the organization. But if we do the change tracking, whoever touched our data set, its information is going to be stored, tagged with the changes, which I'm going to show you later. Yeah, I'm going to change, I'm going to do the change tracking, and I'm just going to give it a tracking group name. Like it will group all those tracking information together, and later on we can get information by the group as well. So I think at this stage, we are pretty good, and it's just for one attribute. Now imagine we can enable change tracking on either all attributes, or it's completely our selection. So for example, some of the attributes we are not concerned that if someone is changing, that should be all right. That's not providing much value into the analytics. But if some attributes are critical, those needs to be tracked out, that who are making changes to those attributes. So for example, the price, the cost of the product, if someone is changing the cost, is he legally allowed to change the cost? Who allowed him? Whether the new cost has been approved by the business, or so no, all these things that we need to sometime answer back to auditor, or even to the exec at some stage, if they raise this question that okay, who changed the product price to value X because it is now impacting on our profit or our target. So at least with that, we have the opportunity to go back and track the information that okay, who has done it. Cool. Now let me save it up. And I'm going to now add the second attribute, which is obviously product name. And as you know, that product name is going to be the product category name, sorry. Product category name. And it's going to be text, 100 text. Yeah, I'm now going to do this tracking on this one as well. I'm just going the subcategory. Just do it speedily. So now we are on the product subcategory ID. text. Now we are going to change it to number, and we are going to use the same. And yes, I'm going to change the tracking on that as well. And let me go and get the products subcategory information, and let me go up. Category name. And that's again fine. I'm just going to putting in the same group. And by the way, you can see it is already capturing the information who has created all that all these attribute and who has configured everything. So my name is going to be in here, or sorry, my user ID is going to be in here. So later on we can easily track that, okay, who has done all these things to to just trace it back to if we need it to. And obviously the created data as well, that when they have been created. Subcategory name is done. I think there's only a couple of them have been left, so let's quickly finish the model. So we are not going to change it. So then that's good. I have done it mistakenly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, if you want to change something later on in the attributes, you can go select it, and then you can even shift the order, like you can move the attribute up and down through move up and move down. But here I think I have actually put the decimal up to 2 points because it is the default one. But our category subcategory ID is not going to contain any digit value. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to put it 0, and I'm going to save it. So that's how you can edit the attribute that you have created. If you want to change anything, you can go and you can change them. Product name is there. They're all product name is going to be in here. So good. We are going to now list price. Just price is going to be, I do believe it's going to be, now that's going to be numeric, and it's going to be with the 2 digits, because obviously our value can go into this end, and you can see we have $9.99, we have 120.00. There is a standard format of our pricing information. Same with the standard cost. Our standard cost is even going up to 3 or even 4 digit after the decimal point. So what we'll do, we do have a quick analysis of our data, and then we'll just allocate that much decimal places. So what I'll do in the list price, number, and instead of we are fine with the 2. We're gonna track the changes, so it's gonna make change to our price information, because we need to know. Let me add the standard costing. So I can call it standard cost or product standard cost, but I'm just gonna keep the name similar, so there's no confusion. And obviously that's going to be number as well, and it's going to be, let me give it a 5 digits. After 5 decimal places, I'm gonna store the value. All good. And now we have last 2. One is product size, which is the textual information, although the value looks numeric. Good in here. then last but not the least is the product weight. So product size is all good. Excellent. Product weight. Product weight is going to be in the decimal point. So what we are going to do now, again, we'll check the value. Looks like it's going to up to 2 digits. So I think we are fine. There's another way we can check the max decimal places, which is coming as part of the data set, but we'll see it later. So we're good. We are not going to track on these, the last two, right? Product size, but I think size matters. So what we'll do, we'll save that information now. As you have seen, now we have a good handsome model with the entity, one entity inside of it, and then now it is ready to contain the data set which is coming to us from one of the application, right? We just assume that AdventureWorks is an application which is providing that information, and that information is going to be considered as a standard list across all the business. So it's only product department who's going to have the ownership of that or the authority to change that information, and the rest of the organization is going to read the information from this standard list. So by saying it, let me just establish that architecture. We have created the model. Let me just come back in here, and now if I hit analyze, you can see I have all the columns which are sitting in here, and there's a web interface. We can create the entries using the web interface. But what we'll do, we'll just create one. You can see the code is already grayed out because code MDS is generating by itself. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show it to you. We'll create this by ourselves, right? So let's copy it across, and I'll show you because that's the first thing. So 1 by 3. I'm going to use the web interface to create the first entry. 1 by 3, and then we have what we have in here. And then we have 967. Actually, it's the same. So that's the product name and list price. So it was all the way up to close to the subcategory. The values are not aligned, so don't worry about that. Once we open them in the Excel file, we're gonna see them in a nice arranged format. But I can see that which value is under which related to which column. So that's the list price. Standard cost has comma. I'll change that later, but I think at this stage, let me just create the, and then we have 50 as a size and 25.42. So 50. Okay, for somehow it is not. So my keyboard, some key has been pressed on my keyboard. Okay, so I think we have saved that entry, and the last two values I was unable to copy. So 25.42 and 50. Let me just type them. Product size 50 and I get 25.42. Keep in mind, I'm running a couple of things on my main machine, so that's why sometime VirtualBox got stuck due to the resource issue. But I think beside that, everything is fine. So let me save it up. Now you can see we have one entry that is created into my entity, so we are pretty good. Now let me show you how it's gonna shine within the Excel environment, because obviously the interface is not fancy, and most of the people, especially in the business, they use the Excel a lot for data manipulation. So Microsoft had provided really a cool interface in the Excel environment, which you can use to change, upload, or manipulate the information, which is really great from the business perspective, that they can take the ownership, they can control the data within Excel environment, and then the data will reflect or play a role into the rest of the area, like the analytics or dashboard or reports, etc., etc. So let me go into Excel. By the way, you need to install the Mds plugin in your Excel. I've already done it. So you can see we have the master data plugin, which is available. So once you have the Mds configured, you're going to see there is a link, install master data services in Excel, and it will take you to Microsoft site where you can download it. So if I click on in here, I'm just going to put that link into the description, so you can download the master data service. But before downloading the plugin, you need to configure the master data services within your environment, so you can take the full advantage. I have already configured, like you have seen. If you don't have it in the organization, you can still ask to set up the dev environment where you can play, and you can test all kind of the use cases related to data governance and data quality. And if that works for you, you can go ahead with the go live or the productionization. So by saying it, let me go back to Excel. I'm going to connect to my model. So for that, we have the connect information button. I'm going to manage my connection. I'm going to create a new connection. So that's going to be my development, and we need to provide the URL. So I'm just going to copy that URL in here, because that's the URL which is targeting our MDS. You remember we have configured it as a website. So let me hit OK, and let me check the connectivity. We are good from the connection perspective, and let me hit connect. So now you can see, as soon as I connect to my MDS instance, I can see the model that I have created, and I can see the list of the entities that I have created as part of the model. In this case, we only have one entity, so I'm only able to see one, which is product. And you can see, as soon as I have opened it up, I can see the single entity that has been added through the web interface now. For example, if I want to bulk load the data within the Excel environment, so now have a look. I'm just going to show you something very critical, especially because we are not going to insert the data through web interface. So for example, if we want to do the bulk load of the information within the MDS, how we going to do it? So that's why I've already exported it into Excel. In the later video, I'm going to show you the automated way how we can, read directly to the SQL and upload the data into MDS. So there is an integration which is available that we can use to load the data within our MDS model, right? But that's the next topic for the next video. So if you remember, I think I've already created this entity, or even if I'm going to do it, I'll just delete the first one later on. So let me copy product weight, and you can see the values are all in here. I do believe the values are all correct. Yeah, we are not. Yeah, I think we are good. Let me just copy it. And what I'm going to do, because it's in here, so I'm just going to paste the data within the Excel file. So now you can see the color has been changed here. The color play a very critical role. If you're gonna see anything within the orange or light brown color, that means that hasn't been published. So for example, if we are changing any data, the color is going to be changed. That means that record needs to be published within the MDS model. So any commit or any save within the MDS environment, that is called publishing. So by default, the publishing is not auto published, so which is good. Like we have to manually publish our changes, because sometimes if we have mistakenly done something, we still have the option to change them. But obviously once we publish, then we don't have the option to revert those changes until unless we go and we change back and then republish. So in that case, we have already put all our changes in here, and you can see the values are there. We have standard cost, we have list price, obviously the size, most of the size are unknown, but we have the product weight, which is coming in up to 2 digits. So I think we are all good at this stage. Let me hit publish. So publish is going, are we going to put some information? Yeah. Uploading business. So all good. Let me hit publish, and it's going to actually run behind the scene. The color has been changed, and now if we go back to our, there we go. Congratulations, we have published our first entity with the standard list of value. Now you can see it's only the people who have access. They can change or update or delete or insert the information, and then the rest of the organization, they can read that data, which is really great. Like we have the centralized one source of truth, and then which has been used by the rest of the business. So hopefully you have enjoyed the master data services. There are so many more features of master data service as part of the governance and quality data quality perspective, which obviously we're going to explore into the next video. But in this video, I think we are pretty good up to this point. So keep in mind, the Excel plugin help you to do the management of the data within Excel environment. The web interface provides the same capabilities, but obviously the web interface was not that user friendly. You can bulk upload through copy paste into your MDS sheet, but there's another way which we're gonna see in the future video. Hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your Friday.